on the other side.
We're in top 4 territory, but no one here wants to settle for that, do they, Lethal?
No.
It's first place or bust for our remaining competition. And as we now end this warm-up, the ruins of Sarnath, MAXTER on the Slash, and then it'll be k1LLSEN on the Nyx.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting in itself. Every champion pick has been very meta-orientated in every single map, apart from the last one, which definitely put a spanner in the works here, as I'm glad that we did not ask for my prediction, because I do not have a damn clue exactly how things are going to turn out going into this matchup here, but very excited to see a full 5 mapper if we can. k1LLSEN already trying to throw a couple of rails from down below, but sadly doesn't catch him. Remember, k1LLSEN does have that Ghost Walk if he wants to use it aggressively, as Max is now trying to scarper away. Been caught just a little bit with the LG, but still just standing his ground.
And k1LLSEN's going to play this careful at the very beginning. You know, we were able to get a decent amount of armor to begin with. We know this is the Battle of Two Lights, so the player that controls the armor does tend to have quite a considerable upper hand. And if k1LLSEN's hitting those opening rails that we know he can and has done, I think just having a decent amount of armor is going to simply make that push a little bit more attractive. But it has taken some time now. 2 full rotations of the items have already happened. And now k1LLSEN's going to play that careful game, one that he can afford to do. The Ghost Walk's ready to go. We're just about to pick up the armor. Will he rocket jump? No. Yeah, he's just going to go for the jump pad. Why risk it? Why take unnecessary damage? By doing so, it does mean that MAXTER's going to get the Mega. But again, it just comes back to the rail game. Like, that rail's going to neutralize all the benefit of those items. So very slow to begin with, Lethal.
Certainly is indeed, but we saw Nyx, k1LLSEN players Nyx on Awoken beforehand, and how passive was he? He was very, wasn't that he was playing passive, but it was more being very patient with his opportunity. Hits that first rail, that was so important to get that chip before picking up that heavy. But MAXTER does pick up the light in the end, trying to catch him off, but MAXTER will be able to get that Mega successfully without too much trouble, might we add. And the item timing still not segregated heavily as of yet, but enough to maybe put a bit of pressure on whoever picks up that heavy first. And k1LLSEN looking to see if he can catch him as he goes down the heavy stairs, which he does not. Forward that baby, just dives in with the LG. Will he but take it down? That would be huge, as k1LLSEN manages to survive for now, but cutting it very close here, Ryan.
And there's the rocket jump. I was wondering when k1LLSEN was going to go for that. And what a lovely choice. He did so much damage to MAXTER. By the way, actually, I'll finish that train of thought in a minute, because we are just about to have a fight taking place near Light. MAXTER in a better position thanks to that Light, forcing k1LLSEN to jump down. But speaking of forcing people to retreat, that's why k1LLSEN was able to go up for the Mega. Did enough damage to force MAXTER to retreat. Knows he's going to take the Light that's down near where you get the Tri-Bolt, the teleporter. And that was enough time for k1LLSEN to take both items. But will it be full control? Actually, I wonder if it will be, actually, because now we've landed that rail. MAXTER is stuck in a horrible position. The aggressive rocket jump. MAXTER stuck out there with a rocket. And that will be frag number 1 for k1LLSEN. And the reward is not just the frag, but it will be Mega as well.
That was such a shame. You saw there earlier, Max had 2 clear opportunities to try and rail k1LLSEN into that first frag. Couldn't capitalize on those scenarios, but it is what it is. And remember, he is playing the Slash, so got all the mobility and speed in the world to catch up or make a comeback as he sees fit, even if it does become 2 or 3-0. k1LLSEN, this is the first one. Looking to see if it can Ferrari peak round from Mega to try and catch him, but also making MAXTER shoot his gun first. He has a little bit more of an opening here, window of opportunity to do that chip.
MAXTER went for a pretty safe approach there. Every angle was covered there from k1LLSEN, but the speed of Slash kind of just meaning that teleporter exit, k1LLSEN would have had to be fairly confident and ready. Yeah. That was going to be the escape, and it did allow MAXTER to at least kind of save himself from that position. He was kind of stuck there for a minute. The rail connects. Yo, k1LLSEN, that was a fake out and a half. The drop down and then the immediate wall jump to get back up there, and it's actually set up for this Mega. Will k1LLSEN be able to take it? MAXTER drops down right as k1LLSEN comes around the corner, so this by all means could be another frag, and it will be 2-0. k1LLSEN, wow. Beginning the whole thing there with the fake out on the drop down, and now MAXTER is stuck. He's going to get out there. He's not going to want to fight. There's literally no reason to fight there. We've got nothing to work with.
MAXTER, you could see clearly he wanted that Mega. He wanted to overstays welcome to a certain degree, but maybe hopes he could use that speed to get out if k1LLSEN did get a little bit too close or was being a bit too aggressive towards the Mega, but just didn't have the chance in the end. And the only thing he could do was hope for k1LLSEN to miss that one rail and then get away, but nope, k1LLSEN, one shot, one kill. He was perfectly fine. He was happy about that. And we're already at the halfway stage nearly as MAXTER does take that last shot. That was very close to itself, but is risking to try and get it here. I think that is a little bit debatable. Of course, we know the Heavy was coming up very soon, but we can't afford him to get in so desperate so early here, which does mean that k1LLSEN is up currently 3-0 with a massive stack to continue suffocating MAXTER at this point.
Yeah, it's 3-0, and it hasn't been the fastest game in the world, but k1LLSEN's doing exactly what it felt like he was going to do, which is to slow the match down. MAXTER and the way he plays being simply exaggerated by the fact that he's playing Slash here in this first map. k1LLSEN was very clearly going to go into this slowing it down, forcing MAXTER to play at someone else's pace, not allowing MAXTER to simply kind of force the issue. And it's been almost 6 minutes, and k1LLSEN has pretty much given MAXTER no openings. The slow play here hasn't had to use the Ghost Walk until right now, the whole time, and there was no way on this earth MAXTER was ready for that.
He certainly wasn't, and in comparison to Awoken, k1LLSEN is just using the Ghost Walk aggressively in such an effective manner at the perfect times as well. And k1LLSEN just holding his ground for now, picking up that Heavy, Mega up in 10. Max has still no armor to his name, 4 minutes left, but at least MAXTER does get a bit of chip. But the problem is, if he keeps picking up these hourglasses, having the Ghost Walk available, he can avoid so many deaths from so many bad situations, which eventually could run the clock down.
Loving the authoritarian play here from k1LLSEN. Is that a word? Authoritative? You know what?
We'll just say yeah.
You know what? I think it was. I'll trust my gut instinct. It's been a long weekend, folks. But now we have 3.5 minutes left as we end this map. And really, at what point has MAXTER had a foot in the door? I can't count a single time it's happened. And I think that's really a testament to how k1LLSEN's been approaching this map so far, is that it's been a confident ability to slow things down, force MAXTER to play your game. And other than that, I mean, the rails from range are certainly doing their wonders. But he's been keeping MAXTER so pushed away that MAXTER hasn't really been able to fight for any of these items either. And that one time k1LLSEN was able to do damage, force MAXTER to retreat. Rocket jumped up and took that Mega. One of the few times afterwards, the aggressive Ghost Walk used there to steal a frag away and take control. I mean, I don't even know what MAXTER's going to be able to do here. Make a play on an item, sure, but k1LLSEN's the one that's already there, established, and it tends to be k1LLSEN being the playmaker, so one would think that this should be done the way things are currently going.
Yeah, the way things are going right now. And you made a valid point in terms of what openings, what windows of opportunity has MAXTER had. And the only time he has, I believe, well, I spoke about it before, around that 2 to 4 minute mark where, or 2 to 3 minute mark, I can't remember from the top of my head. That's age hitting for you, Ryan. But I think it was the time
old,
where
Harry, don't worry.
This is it. He was available twice, and sadly MAXTER missed both shots to get him that first frag and then be able to get map control. But k1LLSEN again, huge stack, Ghost Walk. His pattern for the hourglasses haven't been discovered yet, so it's just getting worse and worse. And if he's railing like that, this is going to be an even tougher series here for Max. He's managed to return one on his own, but the problem is time is running out.
Now, what's really scary about k1LLSEN's aim so far is the amount of those clutch sort of reactionary rails that he's been able to land. He is in a spot of bother right now, and the confidence to hold on to that Ghost Walk and still not use it, even though he was so weak. But what I was going to say is, it's those reactionary rails that can really matter. You can set up angles and you can hit those shots because you know someone's coming around that corner. You know someone's going to be in that position. That's one thing. The other element, 100 damage, by the way. That certainly hurts. Being able to safely pick up that light. Is he going to get caught? MAXTER swapping to the machine gun. What I wonder if that means there's not much confidence. Let me have a quick check over and see if it was ammo count related. Nope, he had plenty of rails. That was just a need to get some damage while we can.
And speaking of stats, MAXTER only just picked up his second Heavy the entire game. That's how difficult it's been for MAXTER to try and contest that Heavy item. We've seen him do it a couple of times before, but it was just nowhere near enough. And look at the item as well. 24 items for k1LLSEN, only 10 for MAXTER, and it really has felt that way. Both players have been missing quite a lot of their shots as well. It's just been more the decision-making here which has given K1LLSEN the edge, and we'll see how that will progress later on in the series in this first map, as the drive-by doesn't really do its wonders, but in the end, the damage has already been done, just using that Ghost Walk just to try and get away. And you can see that K1LLSEN, even though he's pretty much won this first map already, he's avoiding MAXTER from letting to have even just one frag, just so that he will continue to feel demoralized and feel how the difficulty of trying to kill K1LLSEN at this stage, and it's been so tough. It wants them to feel like that into his mental state going into the future maps. But as you can see, 15 seconds left, looking to tickle with the LG, misses a couple of rails. Again, a bit uncharacteristic from MAXTER here, as he does try drop down, try and get the first frag if he can. Not going to happen the way K1LLSEN's playing this first map here. And could that be a sign of things to come? We'll have to see. First map going to K1LLSEN 5-0.
I'd go as far to say that when it comes to the entire weekend of these championships, we haven't seen a shutdown of someone's gameplay quite like that.
Yeah.
And, you know, K1LLSEN, earlier on, there was a clear direction here of I'm going to essentially make MAXTER play my game. Being able to slow down the aggressive plays, put a lid on it, essentially. And that is such a devastating map to start with, because the way K1LLSEN played that and the way he denied MAXTER for all 10 minutes, K1LLSEN's going to be warmed up and comfortable. And for MAXTER, it's like the series hasn't even begun yet. He didn't get to do anything on that map.
No, not at all. I still feel like around that 2-minute mark, if he was able to get one of those frags, he had 2 opportunities for it, it could have swayed, it could have been a completely different outcome. That's how much of a change it could have been. But as you guys can see at home, 35% for K1LLSEN, MAXTER 21, both making their lives really difficult with the amount of peeking they were doing and the positions they were holding. It was quite an interesting affair indeed, we must say, and not really too much damage done overall either. But we'll be going to the next map shortly, which will be on Awoken. No Nyx will be available this time round, K1LLSEN, but we'll be having the Doom versus the Strog. So that's going to be interesting in itself, and if it does get far later on, we do have Veil and Blood Covenant, and then Corrupted Keep will be the third map. And as you can see, very meta-established picks in terms of the champion choices, but that last one, I just want to go to map 5 just for that Clutch versus Sorlag matchup, because I'm pretty sure we've never seen that, and considering the meta at the moment, no one can decide how that is going to go. So yeah, very weird, but very funny.
I kind of want to talk about the impact of that first map just a little bit more as we go into Awoken, you know. Forgive me for referencing another game, but from where I come from, we'd call that a flawless victory.
Yeah.
And what I mean by why that matters is because if there are games that you play versus someone in this competitive setting and you quite genuinely have no time to do a single thing, like you can't even... K1LLSEN wasn't really tested there. K1LLSEN wasn't ever really forced onto the retreat. K1LLSEN wasn't fragged and forced to, you know, how do you deal with getting pressured off the spawn? What kind of weapons are you going to go for? All that stuff. Like, there was no information gathered whatsoever, which can give such an unbelievable advantage for the person that had that dominant win. And so, in MAXTER's situation, it's kind of a hard one to swallow. You know, we're now going to be jumping into Awoken. I know he's really, really strong on this map, so by all means can make good things happen, especially with the difference in champions that we have to fight. But no exaggeration, K1LLSEN could not have had a better beginnings here. And when I said this guy was confident, I bloody well meant it.
Really is. First seed coming to the competition. Of course, one of the favourites here, as we discussed in the pre-show just a couple of days ago. It's crazy how fast things have gone so far.
His Doomslayer's wearing the belt as well. I just want to point that out.
Basically saying that he wants another one here, right? And we'd love to see it anyway, but get a bit ahead of ourselves as we are in the winners' finals. Second map, Awoken.
My man just did a map like map 1, and on the second map, his champion is wearing the belt. Like, can we talk about any more of a message being sent? Anyway, this is a best of 5, folks. There's plenty of opportunities here for MAXTER to turn things around, and let's see how we begin now. K1LLSEN from the Doom Slayer catches sight instantly of that Pika, shuts it down with the rail. As soon as K1LLSEN gets an LG, that unholy trinity is ready to rock. And a decent stack on both sides, as you would often expect here with the 2 mediums. MAXTER getting a lovely prediction over K1LLSEN jumping towards where teleport is going to be. And I think, yeah, it's time to trade item for item.
Seems that way. It seems like K1LLSEN just wants to continue playing the same style as before. MAXTER making the first mistake, K1LLSEN capitalising. The only problem is for him now, he hasn't got that Ghost Walk in his back pocket. So let's see how much of a difference this is going to make here. And you could feel, I'm not saying MAXTER's like getting the jitters and, you know, he's getting a bit too tempted. He is controlling that. The problem is the fact that he's not really being fed barely any info, and it's going to be a real struggle, and K1LLSEN's going to continue to do that just to keep him guessing, keep him second guessing. K1LLSEN's not even trying to create any kind of decision tree, just basically trying to make MAXTER just feel as uncomfortable as possible, as both players still got very similar stack, but K1LLSEN with the positional advantage.
Possibly the most K1LLSEN of matches that we've seen so far. This entire series, I mean, when we often talk about K1LLSEN, K1LLSEN likes to have control, but he also likes to sit in the middle of the map and just listen. He likes to listen out for where you are, and he likes to just play such a heavy positional gameplay that he's always the one that scores that first blood, right? He's the one that does that first little burst of damage. He's a master of following it up. That rail, so close from hitting its mark. But let's not count out MAXTER. MAXTER, more than healthy. And knows a thing or two about capitalization himself.
K1LLSEN just continues to play this really smart. It's like, if he's got the advantage, why move? Right, let him come to you. And he knows it's going to happen every single time. As MAXTER now just biding his time, getting ready for this next mega. Heavy's going to be up as well. Let's see if either player does delay the items at all. K1LLSEN decides not to, but Max has delayed the mega quite heavily at this point, and actually does so much damage with the tribal. 83 damage done. Misses that first round. That would have been so important, but it's taken so much from the LG. He's going to have to back away, but he hasn't backed away completely. We'll find out now as he was stuck in that choke point. We'll try and get a bit of rocket damage done. Does it? But oh, the LG going downwards. Hits the rail straight afterwards. MAXTER has been waiting for over 12 minutes for a situation like that, and has finally managed to do it.
That is how we do it now. MAXTER 1-0 and able to bring himself a nice little bit of momentum. The immediate berserk has been popped there by K1LLSEN just to guarantee that he's able to get an flying right past MAXTER. That was almost an opportunity to just punch him in the face. That would have been pretty decent damage, but without a rail, yeah, that Pika was going to be hard. Actually got to give him the props. A direct rocket to handle the Pika in that situation must have been quite scary.
Yeah, it must have been indeed. Just going to have a quick look at the items. 6 for K1LLSEN. Actually, 6 apiece so far. It's been quite even in terms of the congestion, but with K1LLSEN, we've 16% rail, but because he only fired 6 shots, but still just a little bit uncharacteristic. But he's been playing this quite passively in comparison to what we're normally used to as the viewers, especially the viewers at home. Good rocket, 68 there as MAXTER a little bit tempted to capitalize, but just being patient, waiting for K1LLSEN to rotate around. He's already made that rotation. He's going on up, and K1LLSEN read that straight away, decided to get away ASAP. Throwing a few nails in case it does come through the TP, but just approaching that 4-minute mark. But MAXTER looking a lot better, and now he's playing K1LLSEN's game to a certain degree.
That's an information Pika if I've ever seen one. Rather confident that he was safe to do it, and he's able to find out where K1LLSEN is. Unfortunately, misses that first rail, and actually both players missing those shots. The berserk, for a split second, I think K1LLSEN was really thinking about it. He was able to maybe zip up there on the jump pad, steal it away. But another low-scoring game, and this is very much the kind of maps that we were expecting to see. If MAXTER can come online and MAXTER can get that momentum rolling, maybe the pace will be sped up just a little bit, but I just don't see K1LLSEN allowing that to be the case.
Good rail there from MAXTER, just to shake K1LLSEN just a little bit. Mega's up now, but MAXTER's just going to see exactly how when's going to be picked up. Does hit the Q through it, so that shouldn't be too much of an issue. Heavy's up in 20, but Max is already in the position early, and so is K1LLSEN, funny enough, which is quite interesting. MAXTER does hit the first rail. Just going to recover just a little bit here. Just going to bide his time and wait until sees what happens, but both of them, so weak at that point, but instead MAXTER allowed to stay alive and go for the heavy, and at least K1LLSEN was able to rail him for his troubles, even though he couldn't get it himself. Good contestation there from K1LLSEN.
Able to hit that rail right as MAXTER collects the heavy, and that's going to mean that not as much benefit there from that major item, but on the flip side of that, K1LLSEN taking a mega, which means that he is more than healthy for this next fight, just picking up a light armor too. We can take a look here now, MAXTER trying to find that good little spot of damage that we can go in and start something else, and I actually think off the back of that double rail, maybe we're going to see some kind of fight. The question is, fight or armor? What's going to be more important to MAXTER right now? I think a mixture of both is our answer, as MAXTER could have gone straight for it, instead chose to sit just a little bit further forward first on the off chance he could have hit K1LLSEN, but keeping that stack really good. Oh my god, that rocket was disgusting. And the rocket to finish, knocking MAXTER up into the sky and then just letting the LG do the work.
Manager, if you hit that other shot, Jesus. 4 minutes left, and MAXTER, great rail there. He's going to try and circle around, pretend he's going to the LG. Trying to make it move. Oh, it just barely gets up top mid from that last fist punch onto the light. And K1LLSEN, he's ready for him. He's going to be able to back him away and get the Mega on top of it. This is game changer, but the Pika's doing quite a fair amount. One rail could do it. This MAXTER has to back away. That was a huge Pika coming out from MAXTER.
But one rail could do it on both sides too, and that's why K1LLSEN didn't want to push too far. If there was a risk that he himself was going to get taken out, there was not going to be a push. That was one of the most clutch Pikas that we've seen all weekend. It's the only thing that kept MAXTER going. And having the angle ready to rock, K1LLSEN taking that damage, and because of it has to concede. Now, it has to be said, K1LLSEN was so weak. The timing on the Mega was paramount. MAXTER knew when it was going to spawn as well. The play was, K1LLSEN's weak, I'm a sprint towards this Mega. K1LLSEN was in position with the LG, forced out that Pika. This is the confidence we're talking about. Both of these are perfectly timing their items, and if one of them was even a second off, these fights would be going very, very differently.
No, you're not wrong at all. As Heavy's up, K1LLSEN is just going to pick it up straight away. He's not really messing around in that department in terms of delaying the timing. Let's see if MAXTER does so. He's delayed it just only by a couple of seconds. Pika does come in, not as good as it once was, but he has the info he needs, which is the most important thing. MAXTER was in that choke point, but has now moved away a tad. First rail hits, doesn't hit the second, but a good amount of LG damage coming up from MAXTER and the rail too. But MAXTER does pick up the light from down below. K1LLSEN can smell blood in the water. He's going to try and go for him. 11 HP as K1LLSEN manages to survive, but can MAXTER get the trade? A little bit too late now, sadly, for him.
Wonderful use of the Berserk, it has to be said. Doomslayer hasn't always been able to gain that burst of speed from a punch. That was a more recent thing, but used in the right way can just allow that Berserk to be so much more than just a simple runaway tool, being able to dodge and being able to cut those corners so tight to pick up those weapons. You love to see it, you know, use every element of your champion's kit if you have the chance to. K1LLSEN going in for some rails here, knowing that MAXTER doesn't have one, so not really fearing the LG from that distance as much. Here comes the Pika, just take that out for good measure, get a rail right as we go to take Mega, and that's going to make life so much more miserable for MAXTER. And even K1LLSEN having the read that MAXTER's going to go all the way around there. I mean, how does he know?
Yeah, the reads have been very good. Just barely misses that rail. Still trailing by 2 frags. A minute 20 left, but you kind of feel like being fair. Okay, hits the first one, so he could back away again. Heavy's going to be up any second now, as Max is going to be thinking to himself, right, I need to turn things around here. I need to start hitting my shots a bit more, and I need to really put the pressure onto K1LLSEN. But instead now, he's going through that recovery rotation again. He needs to try and find an answer to K1LLSEN's play. And at some point, K1LLSEN's going to be doing that thing. He's going to be sitting in narrow corridors to choke points with relying on his defensive rockets, and that's where it could spell trouble here for MAXTER, as he won't be able to get that clean frag or the cleanest frag possible in order to trade out straight afterwards. It's just hitting these Pikas are fun at this point, Ryan, straight off the bat as soon as that popped out from that rocket area. K1LLSEN now just holding that Mega, waiting for him, just waiting for MAXTER, daring him to try and approach, but doesn't get too much damage done there. But K1LLSEN has left the Mega. It doesn't got too much time, but these rails just continuing to do so much work at the most important times. Hits the second. Will he even get the third? No, he's not even going to attempt it at this stage.
No need. We already have 2 frags in the lead, 15 seconds on the clock, and the ending moments of this map very similar to what we saw on the ruins of Sarnath. K1LLSEN, confident in his own defensive play, has a life lead, or, well, a frag lead, sorry, wrong game. And he's able to just sit on it and play around that for the entire rest of the map. MAXTER has only obtained a single frag in 2 maps. And these aren't high-scoring games, no. But it's just the absolute lock that K1LLSEN seems to have on this. Even when K1LLSEN was a frag down, there was something about the way he was playing where you just felt like he's going to get a frag eventually. Like he's hitting the shots, he's hitting the damage. The LG fights are fantastic too. And if it wasn't for some of those really clutch, like defensive moments, especially the Pika coming out from MAXTER, that would have been an even higher scored game.
I just find it interesting how K1LLSEN has completely changed how he's going to play. I said it before the series as well. It's the fact that in terms of the styles, who's going to do what? Who's going to do something that drastic to really frustrate your opponent? And it can be quite tilting at times. The fact that you're hitting these shots, or you know, you've both got similar item control, but you can never find your opponent. He's giving very little information, and it's really making MAXTER feel a bit uncomfortable leading into this matchup. And you can see from the amount of focus across the board for Awoken, a 3-1, especially with the mobility you see there. That's just a rare occurrence in itself. But in terms of the damage and the rail percentages, you can see that MAXTER hitting in 43 and on the other side, MAXTER 37. But that 37%, it was the rails which was super important. The chip damage as MAXTER was approaching to try and seal that frag, etc. And we are going to Corrupted Keep, where it could be a little bit more difficult now to play how K1LLSEN wants to play. More about the mechanics and fundamentals going into this. BJ versus a Death Knight, a very standard champion choice going into this map. But love to know your thoughts.
We're going to get a very different match.
Yeah, or a quick series at this rate.
I mean, like, look, when you're looking at the way that K1LLSEN was approaching those last two maps, it's because he had space to play around with. There was a lot of positional play to be had. The rail was kind of instrumental to that because you can pick those defensive points, you can be there first, you can hit that initial shot, and then MAXTER's kind of playing from behind all the time. Corrupted Keep, just by design, doesn't let you do that. But we've seen K1LLSEN, when he has to throw down on a map like this, able to do so. MAXTER, got to give him all the respect in the world, though, because the LG can be gross. The shots in general can be absolutely wonderful, especially seeing as now Death Knight coming out to play. Shouts to Quake1. But, I mean, just because K1LLSEN has been playing a certain way throughout this series doesn't mean that's the only way he's going to play. And he knows what this map is. He knows what the matchup is. There's just something about the gameplay this time over that this is looking like a world champion right now. Like,
yeah.
With just the flexibility in this gameplay. I don't want to speak too soon, but if this is a 3-0, that just became one incredibly hard player to beat for whoever makes it into Grands.
And MAXTER needs to tell himself, I've got Corrupted Keep, I've got Veil, some of K1LLSEN's worst maps statistically, and this is a time for him to just remind himself from that mental standpoint. As MAXTER now is down to 37 HP, just trying to stay alive very early on. A little bit of damage with the LG, but he's still so weak and just trying to backtrack, get away, re-rotate, and that survivability. At least he's valuing his life as much as possible. Both items are up. Max is just diving in straight for the Mega. Could be using that heavy machine gun just to put K1LLSEN back just a tad, but at least MAXTER didn't give away a first death so early.
And a really good job for MAXTER to survive and bring himself back up to where he was before. He was so close to falling there. K1LLSEN was kind of all over him, but making the perfect call of which exit to take. K1LLSEN kind of prioritizing one of the items there, so he didn't want to push too far, especially seeing as, again, you know, it's Death Knight. So one bad push can result in Incendimus, and then before you know it, you're dead. Now, the LG 1v1 begins. The Mega gets picked up there from K1LLSEN. MAXTER will choose that to disengage and then pick up this heavy as we trade item for item. The question is, what's the damage situation like? Oh my good lord. Well, I guess that might be a question of ours. MAXTER did a great job of getting the armor away from K1LLSEN though, and just like that, the tide has turned into his favor. But he still can't secure a frag.
Been doing his damnedest to try and do something here. 64 HP. K1LLSEN now just directly underneath. Mega is up any second now. Will he be able to get it in time? He's raining down. Rockets does manage to pick up. I think he only had about 15 HP at the time. But he's burning alive here, Ryan. That heavy machine gun. MAXTER knows it. The problem is, though, the time is up for him to take advantage of that situation. Does look up a little bit, but he's on 9 HP. MAXTER can easily take this risk if he wants to. Does with the shoddy, just for extra insurance. Lovely stuff as K1LLSEN now spawns in the red room to try and rotate rounds. But remember, Mega's up in the next 5 seconds. Is it looking good for MAXTER?
MAXTER wasted no time to realize that K1LLSEN was going to be forced out there, and still might have been a little bit careful because truly, you know, you don't have any way of knowing exactly what the opponent's going to do in that situation. MAXTER was like, look, I'm going to quickly take this heavy. I'm going to come back. You're probably still going to be there because you're being careful. You're not just going to immediately, you know, bolt for all these items. So by the time he came back, K1LLSEN was really weak. You know, yeah, had a little bit of health, but nowhere near enough to survive that fight. So MAXTER kind of taking the initiative there and doing the right thing. And a little bit more of that Death Knight exclusive tech for Corrupted Keep. You want to sit there near LG, this champion's going to stop you from doing that. And not a lot of champions can. It's one of the reasons he's become so popular.
MAXTER just drilling K1LLSEN with that heavy machine gun. He's now just standing below, hasn't taken too much damage. Good use at the shot, he though misses that last shot. That was so important as MAXTER now backing away again. 57 HP, Mega's up in 10. K1LLSEN could just leave him, but instead he's going to try and charge on forward to try and clean up that frag. But he could just go back for the Mega and then contest the heavy straight back afterwards. And MAXTER realizes this.
That was a really important shotgun blast to land, and MAXTER tragically didn't manage it. Who knows? That might have even resulted in another frag, because currently, you know, 1-0, k1LLSEN in this position could easily bring this one back. And, you know, I said it's not going to be another low-scoring game. It's 3.5 minutes on Corrupted Keep, and we've only seen 1 frag so far, so maybe I'm going to have to eat my words.
Oh, he's done so much damage to the nails earlier on, considering the position MAXTER is in terms of stack. Should not have been able to get away, but sadly for k1LLSEN, though, he did give a majority of his stack away quite easily going through that TP. And now though, MAXTER just waiting for him to at least get as much damage done from that previous flame strike as possible. Oh, 20 HP. Will he be able to kill him? Still waiting to go for another angle, but they trade.
Lord.
They trade in the end. Went for that risky tri-bolt, but doesn't matter. Still MAXTER with that 2-1 lead. Heavy has been picked up. MAXTER just pushing away towards the LG, and the dual wall comes up here from k1LLSEN. Mega's going to be up in the next couple of seconds. Will he be able to survive in time? No, he doesn't. And then k1LLSEN will be able to grab that straight afterwards.
What a shame. A super shotgun blast that might have been a kill shot just as the fire happened. There was a bit of a block there on the map. It did a measly 5 damage, Lethal. That can't feel good if you're in MAXTER's position, but able to turn things around. The flame strike again. EJ is just permanently on fire, it feels like, and there's no health nearby. You're dead. You're absolutely done. But thankfully for him, though, he was able to shut down the heavy. So in some realms, you'd call it worth it, because now look at MAXTER's stack, trying to push in towards Mega, but not healthy enough to do so. And k1LLSEN spawned near where the armor is.
Oh, the amount of tri-bot damage there is 69, but MAXTER's only on 75 HP. As k1LLSEN will be able to circle round into the red room. MAXTER hasn't got an LG yet, running out of tri-bolt ammo, and hasn't got too much to work with as of yet, especially in the armor department. So MAXTER's going to have to play the runaway game until he can get some of these lights and pick those up. Mega's up in the next couple of seconds. Of course, MAXTER will not be contesting that anytime soon, but at least he'll have the timing for it due to him being in close proximity. Using a flame shot, though, to give him that fake aggression just to make k1LLSEN feel uncomfortable whilst he's trying to head towards these lights. And you can see how careful MAXTER's been, even just picking up that light to not give away any signs of the audio cues or his position in any way. It's been a tough road here for MAXTER. Now, Heavy's been up for quite a long time. k1LLSEN knows this, and he's going to return straight away to pick that up.
This is going to be a hard choice for MAXTER to make. On one hand, you really don't want to let k1LLSEN just run in and take that Mega for nothing, but at the same time, your Flame Strike's not up for 10 seconds. You haven't got the stack to work with. Pushing in from that side can be really weird sometimes, especially if you don't have an ability to back you up. And here comes the Flame Strike. Has it done anything? This time, unfortunately not. But what lovely defensive positioning there from MAXTER to secure a cheeky little 90 damage super shotgun blast. And that has actually allowed him to somewhat establish himself, I would have said, if he didn't get blown up and turned to paste right before Heavy appears there.
Yeah, a little bit of a shame. MAXTER has already too many ideas. Does a little bit of damage here from that last rocket. So k1LLSEN's got the info he needs. Mega is still up, so just delaying it a fair amount. So MAXTER won't have the timing for that, sadly, in the long term. As Heavy's up the next 5 seconds. Both players are already in position. It seems like MAXTER's just going to keep away from it for now. May have heard that dual wield, but looks like he's just diving straight on in anyway. But tries to push him with that flame strike. Does pick up the Heavy successfully. So that was interesting in itself. Just pretending to, you know, rotate round and just go for something else. Does a bit of damage with that last rocket. k1LLSEN just keeping the high ground. MAXTER realizes this, but the direct's not going to do him any favors. k1LLSEN's waiting with the shotgun, and now it'll be k1LLSEN taking the lead once more, putting him down into red room.
k1LLSEN knows where you've spawned, which means he knows the weapons you have and don't have. So he's going to use that opportunity to wrap all the way round, take the ammo that he needs, grab that Heavy, no doubt. And in time, now we'll see. The dual wield is going to be back up and running for yet another time. And this is a good situation now for k1LLSEN, establishing a solid lead. 1 frag in the lead, and once more, 2.5 minutes on the clock. I mean, this is k1LLSEN's time to turn it round. The LG is fantastic. I'm a bit worried for MAXTER here.
I certainly am as well. MAXTER just doesn't know how to deal with it, and it's not really been based on map choice or champion picks or anything like that. It's just the style play Kilsen's doing, but this is exactly what MAXTER needed. Hence, he knows that this map and the next map are statistically the worst maps for Kilsen overall. So he does have the chance to create that reverse sweep. He knows the opportunity is still there. MAXTER now just, look, see if he can get another angle. Does a little bit of damage with the MG. MAXTER now just trying to push on forward. Of course, he hasn't got the LG, hasn't got the tri-bolt there, but at least he's got the heavy machine gun to play the range game. Still has time to play that from a methodical process. A minute 45 left remaining. Comes up the LG. Will he be able to do anything about it? He's so weak. He can't really continue to engage, but Kilsen might take him. Yes, he does with that last heavy machine gun shot. And the problem is now he does have the heavy on top of that here. I'm a bit worried here.
That's the scariest position to be in. There's not a lot of the map left to go. And now, MAXTER only just spawning. The LG was all that was there, and Kilsen pushing in with not one, but 2 rocket launchers. And that is a not so good position now, as now Kilsen just needs to play this careful. Try and keep these items, perhaps. Maybe prioritize getting some of those shards. Looks like he probably has done actually near the exit there. Any of these dual wields that exist defensively are going to be a nightmare for MAXTER because that 1-minute warning has begun. This could be where it all ends and Kilsen moves on to the all-important final frontier. And we all know how much it would mean to him to do that. Would not have believed this to be a 3-0, but Kilsen, there was so much confidence when I spoke to him earlier on. He felt completely and utterly ready for this series. And if there's a 3-0 here, then, well, guess he knew what he was talking about, huh?
Certainly did indeed. 24 items for Kilsen, takes him down again. That is going to be pretty much GG. What a way to win that winners finals. And it was pretty comfortable. And it's like I said before, we were talked about how Kilsen plays in all his matchups and what he's like as a player. But that's the first time in a long time he just played super conservative, in control. And speaking of control, I don't really feel like it was out of place for him by any means. And MAXTER just felt uncomfortable throughout the entire series, no matter what the champion pick or the map choice.
MAXTER has been almost completely unstoppable throughout this weekend, but just something about that series was a puzzle. You know, something that couldn't be solved, let alone in time. Now, there's a chance for a run back. Let's not forget about that. Welcome back, Wheat. There's
Thank you.
Really quite a lot to talk about in these maps.
There is. I would start on map 1, and you know, as it started, and as you're watching Kilsen, I'm kind of like, how's anyone going to beat Kilsen's Nyx on this, especially with a slash, right? And then I think the score kind of said it. Woken a little bit closer, but although MAXTER got that first frag, Kilsen just, you know, I guess that experience and that ability to play under extreme pressure really came into play. I understand now. Catch up as you shared, you know, the little bit about confidence. Like, you could see it kind of in Kilsen's play. And I would even say it's a stark contrast from what we saw on day 1 and 2, and maybe just needed that to build it up over the course of the tournament. You know, sitting in that grand final spot too. I get why that means a lot for Kilsen. So he, you know, takes it to 3-0. That last matchup, I really do like that BJ-DK matchup. I think it's a lot of fun to watch. Probably pretty tough to play, but congratulations to Kilsen with that 3-0.
Yeah, we can't complain. That was a very comfortable 3-0, and he did it not with ease, but just in clean fashion. You can see there, 5 frags over the course of an entire winners finals. He played like a champion to such a high degree. And it's like I said before, right at the beginning of the weekend, he did say he was a little bit shaky after that first matchup. But after playing his match earlier, he's so comfortable and so ready just to take it all. It's going to be an interesting way to see how that grand finals goes, no matter who Kilsen faces up against. But do remember, MAXTER will be seeing him in the elimination bracket anyway, so he does have a second chance to try and bring this back. And interesting in itself, you've got to remember, Corrupted Keeping Veil, not too keen on, but still managed to take him.
You know, Dan the King right now is like, yeah, that's right, I took a map from Kilsen. But great matchup from Kilsen. He now sits comfortably in that grand final spot, which means he'll have a map advantage once we get to that point. Let's bring Kilsen on again and hear from him. I'm sure he's going to have a pretty big smile on his face. Welcome back, Kilsen.
Hey, hey.
Hey, congratulations.
Thank
you know,
you.
Ketchup told us prior that, that you felt pretty confident. It clearly looked that way in the game. Did everything kind of go the way that you had expected, or were you even surprised with yourself at how, clean that was?
Um, I mean, I was a little, how to say, a little pressured on Awoken actually
Okay.
by him. Like he played that one really, really well. I didn't expect it, like at all, seriously. So he played that like super well, and has been like I'm in a top shape right now.
Yeah.
You know. So, and pull this off against my Doom on Awoken, and it's actually really incredible. Like really, really. So really, props to MAXTER. I mean, he played insane, like out of his mind.
So, right. So you and I were out the front like an hour ago, and we were talking about this very match, and the confidence was one of the discussions. Now, I didn't really want to say anything else because, I didn't want to spoil it, and I didn't want to give too much away because you were literally just about to play. But the actual game plan was briefly discussed, right? And there was an emphasis on forcefully slowing things down. And we saw literally just that, especially with the Knicks on that first map. Like, we were sitting here on the desk, like, MAXTER didn't even have a chance to play that. Like, that first map for him just didn't exist. So what is it, you think, that has allowed you to play in such a way where MAXTER has been unstoppable all weekend long, and then we look at that first map, and it's like what is this insane turn of events, Like, what is it about your game plan that just helped you so much there?
I mean, I think it's a little style clash actually. Like I have with Razy very very often happening, and I think that's how MAXTER also feels about my style and why he talks always like a little downgraded, let's say, slow pace and everything. But yeah, like I had a plan from the beginning, and I'm actually surprised it worked this well. Yeah, I mean, he tried everything he could, but it seemed like every time, especially on the first map, I was always like one step ahead,
Yeah.
and already knowing like what he's up to. Just a minute before the end, he was actually changing things a little, but it was already too late. So yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, because it's about adaptation when you were saying, of course, trying to work out what you were trying to do. With your game plan, was there anything in particular which you exploited in terms of the weaknesses for MAXTER? Because I kind of felt like when we were watching this, it didn't matter what map choice it was, what champion pick, you were playing the same way, and he just could not do anything physically about it.
It's actually hard to answer in that way.
You can save it for the grand final in case he plays you again.
No, I mean, of course, when you do map picks, like and champion picks, you want to have or you create a plan in your mind. Roughly like how your opponent is playing, like how open he goes into a map and everything, and you try to set up for exactly that. And you start with that, actually doing the map picks and champion picks, and paid off. Like it got me a little worried, like I said, on Awoken for sure. And I wasn't very sure about Ruins if it's really gonna work, because Slash, I mean, worked for me super well also on the same map. So. Yeah, I'm just glad, to have made it this clean, actually. So, I mean, I was comfortable, but not this comfortable going into this, So, yeah, actually did surprise myself a little here, to be fair.
Well, congratulations. We don't know yet who you'll be facing in the upper bracket or the grand final, but of course you do now sit also with that map advantage as well. Just really quickly, Kilson, when you started this tournament, I think it's every player's dream to be exactly where you are now at, right? It doesn't mean that you've won yet, but it puts you in a pretty damn good position in order to be able to take it. Were you confident, or did you think that this would be where you would be during day 3?
Absolutely not. Like, I mean, I've been working hard throughout the whole stage and season and everything. Throughout the stage, things have been working well. But also sometimes the game gave me a little struggle, and I had to catch myself up again. So mentally, I was quite challenged this time with the preparations and everything. Yeah. And I'm just glad, now being able to stay here in the grand final, waiting for,
Yeah. You get to sit back and kind of chill a little bit. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Awesome. K1LLSEN, congratulations. That was the upper finals. K1LLSEN will advance 3-0 over MAXTER. MAXTER's not out yet, though. In fact, he's got another match that he's going to be playing soon. Coming up next, it's going to be a Maestro team kill no matter what. Wenger versus Razy is our next matchup. Thanks for joining us here in the finals for the Quake World Championship. We got more coming at you. Don't go away. A short break.